Welcome to Chapter 2, Lesson Preparation, Video 1. In this model, you are going to identify content objectives for multilingual learners that align to state, local, or national standards, incorporate supplementary materials suitable for multilingual learners, apply knowledge of students' educational background and skills to adapt content to their language proficiency and cognitive levels, as well as generating language targets for multilingual learners that align to standards and address how language is used in academic settings, discuss advantages of including both language and content objectives in a lesson and sharing the objectives with students, explaining the importance of meaningful academic activities for multilingual learners, and as part of a lesson plan, write content and language objectives linked to standards and the lesson topic. We're going to begin by listening to Dr. Vogt as she talks about lesson preparation in the Siop model.
I know you wanted me to check on Sarah and Jenny's spelling work, their pretest. They only missed about 5, but that was the pretest. So
only 5?
Yeah, I did. I still reduced their words like we had talked about, so they didn't have as many words. But I think they're going to be fine with our spelling in here, so they can start to read.
I was concerned if they needed to be dropped down to a lower reading level, or if they could do the words.
Right, and this is the second week that they've been doing that fine.
In the Siop model, we begin planning our lessons by assessing our students and what they know and can do based upon the topic we're going to teach. We then also use, of course, our content standards, the Siop model, the features and components. And then when we move to teaching our lesson, we're assessing constantly throughout that lesson to see whether our students are understanding and getting what we are teaching.
What factor does every number have? 2. Does 3 have a factor of 2?
No.
If they are not, we then need to move back, we need to adjust, and we need to reteach. This is an ongoing cycle of assessment, of teaching, of reteaching, of assessing, and ultimately determining whether our students have met our content and language objectives.
When you're preparing lessons within the Siop model, you want to make sure that you have content and language objectives that are clearly defined, displayed, and reviewed with the students, that your content concepts are appropriate for the age and educational background level of your students, that you provide supplementary materials that will make the lessons more clear and meaningful, that you adapt the content to make it appropriate to the student's proficiency level in English, and that you have meaningful activities that integrate lesson concepts with language practice opportunities for reading, writing, listening, and or speaking. As you're preparing the lessons for multilingual learners, you want to make sure that you're targeting specific learning goals. You want to help the students to make connections between what they know and have experienced and the new learning so that you can take full advantage of their background knowledge. You will want to assess the students' learning throughout the instructional period, and you want to make sure that the lesson is relevant and meaningful to the students. You want to include activities that foster real-life application of key concepts, and you want to promote the acquisition of academic English throughout the lesson. Finally, you're going to want to provide scaffolds so that students can meet learning objectives for their grade level. Additionally, multilingual learners need lessons that include a dual focus on academic English and age-appropriate content. They need lesson-specific content and language objectives. They need practice opportunities that align to the content and the language objectives. And they need consistent attention to Siop features in every lesson plan. So, now we're going to take a look at some of those features. Feature number 1 is content objectives that are clearly defined, displayed, and reviewed with students. Content objectives in a Siop lesson should identify what the students need to know and what they need to be able to do as a result of instruction on a topic. The content objectives should be derived from state content standards for that grade level. They should be assessed throughout through formative assessment processes and at the end of a lesson through summative assessment. The objectives should focus on lesson level objectives that can be taught in 1 or 2 days. And they should be stated in terms of student learning, not as an agenda or an activity. The bottom line for multilingual learners is that content objectives need to be written in terms of what students will learn or what they will be able to do. And you might be familiar with this from the can-do statements in ACTFL. Effective content objectives are specific and express a complete idea. They are written clearly and simply with active verbs, and they focus on key content concepts students need to learn. If you're not sure what the content objectives are and you're in the state of Mississippi, you can use this link to access Mississippi College and Career Readiness Standards. If you are in another state, go to your State Department of Education website and you should be able to find content standards for your state. And that's it for video 1. Join us for chapter 2, lesson preparation, video 2.